Hi, my name is Sally, and I am 37 years old. It's been a year or two since these events happened, but I still think about them a lot, so I wanted to share my story with anyone who wanted to listen. The story starts with my dad. After my mom passed away from cancer, my dad threw himself into starting a business. I was too young to remember her clearly, and my brother Kyle was just a baby. My dad dealt with his grief by keeping himself busy with the business. He was still a great dad to Kyle and me, but he also worked very hard. At first, the business struggled, but eventually it started to grow little by little. It became successful enough to support us. I remember waking up some nights and seeing my dad still working in his office. I wanted to grow up and be just like him. When I turned 18, I asked my dad if I could work for him. He was firm about not letting me do that. He said he had tried working with family before, and it didn't go well. He didn't want to repeat the experience. I didn't understand what he meant at the time, but I respected his wishes. Even though I was disappointed, I found another job. It wasn't hard work, but it helped me get by. One day, I was in my dad's office and decided to look at his accounts. I discovered that his business was losing a lot of money, and if things didn't change, he would have to shut it down in a few months. I was shocked. I confronted him about it. "Dad, the business is losing a lot of money. What's going on?" "Were you snooping through my stuff?" he asked. "I'm sorry I did that, but you're going to end up closing down." "I know, but nothing I do is working. I've cut so many corners just to keep the business afloat. I was thinking of shutting it down." "No, don't do that. Please let me help you. I promise you won't regret it." "I don't know about that. You know how I feel about mixing family and business." "Yes, I know. But I went to business school. I know what I'm talking about. Just give me a couple of months, and I promise I'll get the business up and running." "That seems like a very expensive risk." "You took a risk by starting the business. This is just another small risk. If it goes wrong, I'll work to make up for it for the rest of my life, I swear. It's only because I'm desperate and a little curious to see how you'll do it that I'll allow it. You won't regret it." After my dad finally let me work with him, I spent the next few months working tirelessly. I ran the accounts and contacted a lot of people to help the business grow. Instead of shutting down, the business started to improve, and we got more clients. My dad was surprised by the results. I even think he was proud of me, even though he never said it. I kept working hard, but my dad was okay with just getting by. I wanted the business to grow enough so my dad would be set for life. Dad was happy and helped me a lot initially, working hard with me, but as time went on, he let me handle things. I didn't mind because it made me feel good to know that he trusted me that much. I once asked him if he was ready to retire and let me take over the business, but he said he wasn't. He felt he still had many years of work left and didn't want to retire too early. I didn't want to point out that he wasn't working much, so I didn't say anything and continued working. About 8 years into working for my dad, my brother Kyle decided he wanted to join the company too. I was okay with my brother Kyle joining the company, but I wasn't happy when he became a co-CEO with me. I didn't say anything because ultimately my dad had the final say in the business. Kyle didn't actually work much, but I didn't mind as long as he wasn't hurting the business. It continued to grow and expand, and we were making millions in profits. We were making more money than we ever imagined. As my dad's retirement got closer, I waited for him to announce that he would hand the company over to me. I remember it was Kyle's birthday when Dad made his big announcement. We went over to Kyle's place for a small birthday dinner. It was a nice time, although I was very tired from work. After dinner, Dad made his announcement. "Happy birthday, son." "Thanks, Dad. Glad you could make it." "Of course. Why wouldn't I be here? Plus, I have a huge surprise for you." "A surprise? What is it?" "Well, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I think it's time for you to run our business." "What? Oh my God, Dad, thank you so much." "You can't be serious. I worked my butt off for the past 10 years while Kyle's only been here for 2 years, and you're giving him the job. It may have only been 2 years, but Kyle really stepped up and look at how well we're doing." "Are you kidding me? Kyle barely worked. I did everything. He only signed papers and approved things. I still think he deserves it." "Thanks, Dad. No need to be so jealous, Sally. Don't worry, you can keep working with me. I'll even give you a raise if you'd like." "No, I'm out. You guys can take your stupid business and shove it. I won't stand for this disrespect. I've put up with a lot, but this is where I draw the line. Don't even think of calling me. I'm done with you guys. Oh, come on, Sally, don't be like that. Bye. I stormed out of the house and slammed the front door. How dare they treat me like this? Did they even know how many nights I gave up sleep to work? Did they know how many eye drops I used because I spent so much time looking at my screen that my eyes dried out? Did they know that no matter how sick I was, I still came to work? I took a maximum of 4 months off in 10 years. My social life was non-existent, my romantic life was non-existent. I had no life other than the business, and I loved it. I loved seeing my work pay off. I loved watching us grow from a small business in a corner store to this $1 million company with its own building. I was proud of myself. But for all that to get thrown away so easily to my brother, who never showed interest until he found out how much our company was worth, I was livid. I was hurt. I felt betrayed. I was the one who stood by my dad when we were about to lose our business. What did Kyle even do? He just sat in his office all day playing games on his phone or watching videos online. Whenever we had meetings, he stayed quiet and looked to me to make decisions. It was already insulting enough that Dad made him the co-CEO with me, but for Dad to give the entire business to Kyle was unacceptable. When I got back home, I felt a mix of emotions. I broke down and cried. I always knew that Kyle was my dad's favorite. I saw it growing up when Kyle just had to mention something, and Dad would get it for him, while I had to beg for things or save up and buy them myself. I hoped that working so hard would make Dad realize how good I was and appreciate me. In the end, he still favored Kyle, and it hurt so much. I let myself wallow in my pain for a long time. Dad and Kyle kept trying to reach out to me, but I blocked them. I didn't want to hear anything from them. Knowing them, they would only say I was being a baby and overreacting. I knew I wasn't. Any sane person would feel hurt. I wallowed for about a week, and then I decided to take care of myself. I went out and shopped, had spa days, and ate properly for the first time in a while. I initially wanted to let go of everything, but I found that the anger in me just wouldn't go away. To be fair, 10 years is a long time to dedicate to one thing, so I decided to use my brain to figure out a way to get back at my dad and brother. I knew I couldn't do anything significant on my own, so I decided to reach out to my Uncle Hank, my dad's brother. Uncle Hank had his own business, and he and my dad had a falling out about 14 years ago, but I never knew why. I was just hoping that reaching out to him would be my lucky break. When I told Uncle Hank what my dad had done, he said he would come over and help me get even. I was excited. I guessed that my uncle was still upset about whatever my dad did that caused their falling out. I remember Uncle Hank and Dad being super close when I was growing up, and then suddenly, Uncle Hank stopped coming around. When I asked Dad about it, he just said they had a fight, and that Uncle Hank wouldn't be coming over anymore. Uncle Hank didn't hold it against us kids and still found ways to stay in touch. Kyle didn't really care, but I loved Uncle Hank. He was this happy-go-lucky guy who always knew how to make a good joke. Plus, he spoiled me a lot. I guess he saw how spoiled Kyle was and decided to treat me the same. Uncle Hank showed up at my place about 3 hours later. Hey Sally, sorry for the delay. I got caught up in some work and then traffic. It's okay, come in. So my piece of crap brother used you to help grow his business and then kicked you out, huh? That sounds familiar. Yeah, it sucks. What do you mean by familiar? You were way too young to know this, but I was your dad's business partner. He worked me like a dog, and when he saw us growing, he pulled some messed up stuff and pinned it on me. Then he threw me out. Oh God, that's horrible. Why would he do that? Well, he didn't want to share profits. At least that's my best guess. Did you do anything to him? I didn't have any resources or anyone to help me out. I just had to let it go. Well, then we can get revenge on him together. He will learn that he can't get away with cheating other people. That we will. I felt so bad for Uncle Hank. Sure, he had his own business, but it wasn't as successful as my dad's. I wished it were hard to believe that my dad could do that to his brother, but he did it to me, so I believed Uncle Hank easily. We started planning and I wanted to do something big. I knew my dad's business would start failing pretty soon. Dad checked out of the business about 3 years after I started managing it, and Kyle was pretty much useless. I told Uncle Hank this, and an idea started to form in his head. He asked me how I'd feel about starting a business in the same field as my dad's. I loved that idea. Uncle Hank was willing to lend me some land to start the business, but I asked him how he'd feel about buying another plot. He was confused at first, but then I explained that there was an empty plot right next to my dad's business. It would be like rubbing salt in the wound for my dad once he starts losing clients. It was a bit risky to buy a whole plot of land and start a business just for revenge, but both of us were hurt and angry enough to do it. Over the next 2 months, we started working on our plan. We purchased the plot of land, which was about 5 times larger than the one my dad's business sat on. We registered our business and handled all the legal paperwork. Our grand plan was to steal my dad's employees once his business started to tank. Uncle Hank and I spent a lot of time working out the logistics of everything we needed for our revenge. Since I had managed my dad's business and brought in many clients, I had a lot of contacts. I snagged a bunch of my dad's clients and even got them to refer our business to their friends and families. We had a very solid start. To be honest, I was just waiting for a call from my dad or brother any day now, knowing their profits were beginning to suffer. I was right. About 7 months into starting our business, Dad called me. I was fully prepared for him to start begging me to come back. Instead, he asked me to come over for dinner. I guess he wanted to plead with me in person, so I agreed to go. When I arrived, my brother was there too. He looked nervous, and they were both suspiciously nice. I made sure to carry copies of the documents proving I was the co-owner of the land and business with Uncle Hank. I wanted to go out with a bang. They deserved it after all. We ate dinner, and while it was awkward for Dad and Kyle, I just waited for the chance to tell them how I was actively ruining them. Finally, after dinner, Dad said they had something to discuss. So, honey, there's something we need to talk to you about. Yes. You see, there's this new competitor in the field, and right now, we're kind of sinking. Oh man, that's tough. Yeah, so Dad and I were wondering if you want to come back and work for us. Excuse me? Absolutely not. You know what you did last time, and I'm not going to let you use me until everything gets good just to then throw me away. Don't be dramatic, Sally. I was only doing what I thought was best. If Kyle was the best, why isn't he solving your issue? Why are you asking me? I'm not as good as you. I tried to tell you, Dad, but you were way too confident in me. I guess you'll just have to deal with it. Please, Kyle is great, but we just need someone who has a little more experience. I'm done with your disrespect. And as my daughter, you have to work for me. I think not. I'm already working for another company. You can quit it. I don't care. You're going to come back. Why will I work for you when my company is currently crushing yours? You're working for our new competitor. Well, technically, I own it. You're lying. You wish I was. Here are the documents. You own it with Hank. He's so much more talented than you. Plus, he actually appreciates everything I do. It's honestly a pleasure to work with him. How can you do this to your family? The same way you could do it to Uncle Hank and me. I will obliterate your company and leave you both in the dust. All the best. Dad tried to call out for me as I made my way to leave, but I didn't pay him any mind. My face hurt from smiling so hard. Finally, Uncle Hank and I had gotten our revenge. My dad and Kyle were going to learn why it's so wrong to cheat family. Buying the land and starting the business was only the beginning. Thanks to my good rapport with a few of the employees at Dad's business, I spread rumors about the company's instability and the possibility of most employees losing their jobs. I also began circulating rumors about job openings at my new company. We had a lot of applicants. It wasn't an issue hiring them because I knew all of them had strong work ethics and could deliver good results on time. Many were shocked to see me managing the hiring process, which only spread the rumors further, bringing us even more applications. My dad's business was not only crumbling from the outside, but also from the inside. Dad furiously called Uncle Hank and yelled at him for sabotaging his business, but Uncle Hank just laughed in his face and told him he deserved it before hanging up. In about another year, Dad's business was running at a huge loss and in large amounts of debt. Uncle Hank and I were thriving. We were even bigger than my dad's business had been at its peak. We had about 20 times the number of clients that Dad ever had. It was an amazing feeling of accomplishment. Since Dad's business was running at a loss, Uncle Hank and I bought it off him. He was so mad about it he refused to look us in the eye when we signed the final papers. I didn't think our plan would work out this well, but I was glad. Uncle Hank and I are living much more comfortably now. The anger that had been in us for a long time finally went away. In Uncle Hank, I found another, better father figure. He truly cared for and appreciated me. I made sure to always let him know just how grateful I was for him. So that's my story. I learned just how important family is and that it's a pretty bad move to cheat on your family. You never know how